Welcome to Slaying with Santos. If you're new here, hola, I'm Melissa Santos. Join me as we dive into the dark and twisted minds of criminals, revealing the stories that lurk just beyond the flicker of candlelight. She was taken from us at just 23 years old in a crime that not only shocked the nation, but the entire world. Join me as we uncover the details of her murder, the trial that followed, and why her story still resonates today, especially in the Latino community. This is a story of the murder of Selena Quintanilla. So let's start from the beginning. Selena Quintanilla Perez was born on April 16, 1971 in Lake Jackson, Texas, the youngest of 3 siblings in a Mexican-American family. She grew up surrounded by music. Her dad was also a musician. Her father, Abraham Quintanilla, had once said that Selena had something special. Her voice was perfect pitch, her rhythm was flawless, and even as a very young little girl, she just lit up a room. Like, people knew this girl is gonna be a star. By the age of 9, she was performing with her family band, Selena y los Dinos, alongside her brother Aby on bass and her sister Suzette on drums, which I thought was pretty dope that her sister was on drums. I always loved seeing her just getting down, especially in the movie, but anyway. They performed anywhere they could. Weddings, fairs, small town festivals. They drove from gig to gig in a beat up van. Money was tight. The family even lived out of that van for a little bit. But Selena never complained. She just loved music, everything that had to do with performing. She loved making people smile. Her name, Selena, actually means goddess in Greek. And it just fit her perfectly. She was amazing. And when she was on stage, she didn't just sing, she shined. So Selena's rise to fame. She rose quickly in the ranks of Tejano music, which was a genre traditionally dominated by only men, but she was unstoppable. In 1989, she signed with EMI Latin, and just a few years later, in 1993, she won a Grammy Award for Best Mexican-American Album for Selena Live, making her the first female in Tejano music to do it. Then came Amor Prohibido. Do you guys remember that song? Amor Prohibido. I was obsessed with that song growing up. And in 1994, it was a smash hit, obviously, and it sold over 400,000 copies in the US and millions in Mexico. Selena became a superstar, but her dreams did not stop there. She was preparing to do a crossover into the English language market. And her next album, Dreaming of You, was going to introduce her to the entire world. The Latinos already knew about her, but the whole world was waiting to see who this girl was gonna be, and she was on the verge of becoming an international icon. But Selena wasn't just a singer. She was a complete cultural force. She inspired an entire generation of Latinas like me to be proud of their roots, to embrace their curves, their language, their dreams, their bilingualism. I know that's not a word, but I made it up. We're just gonna go with that. She said once, I'm very real, very sincere, I'm honest, and that's how I will always be, and that's how we saw her. Selena didn't speak Spanish fluently as a child. Remember, she was a Mexican-American, probably like 3rd generation, but she learned it phonetically to sing. And then later on, she became fluent because she was just so deeply proud of her heritage as well. So she would say, I feel very proud to be Mexican. I didn't have the opportunity to learn Spanish when I was a girl, but it's never too late to connect to your roots. So a lot of times people, especially in the culture, tend to, you know, if you're 1st or 2nd generation, I'm 1st generation, I'm not Mexicana, I'm Nicaraguan, but I was born in the United States, and there's always like this kind of tendency to make fun of the pochos like me because we are bilingual and we think in English, we think in Spanish, and some of us don't ever learn the language, but we're very, very proud of it regardless. You know, most of us are. And so she was one of us. You know, again, why she was so relatable. Like, a lot of us had both languages in the home, and some of us didn't even speak Spanish, or we spoke like a messed up kind of Spanish, Spanglish, whatever, which, by the way, is supposedly a new language now. So Selena was a part of a language revolution back in the day. Also, her fashion, her bold bustiers, her rhinestones, her spandex. It made her a trendsetter. And she was nicknamed the Mexican Madonna, which I actually did not know about this. I feel like I know a lot about Selena, but I didn't even know about that. So, yeah, she was perfect. And unlike many stars, Selena was down to earth. She was sweet, she was funny, she was playful. And you could just see that. She would light up a room with just her laugh. It was very infectious. Selena also gave back to her community. She supported Toys for Tots. She visited schools. She headlined massive charity events. In August 1994, she hosted a celebrity baseball game. In January 1995, she performed at the Teach the Children Festival, raising $13 million for education. She was the voice for women facing domestic violence and supported homeless shelters. Her faith as a Jehovah's Witness shaped her early life, though she stepped away from organized religion in the beginning of her career because I guess her religion really didn't accept her like fashion sense or maybe her creative expression, but that didn't stop her from still creating art and, you know, saying basically that this is a gift that God gave me and I'm going to use it to be who I am on stage, on and off. So now let's talk about the woman who unfortunately ended it all, Yolanda Saldivar. Yolanda was a former nurse who became obsessed with Selena after attending one of her concerts. In 1991, she reached out to Selena's father with an idea. Let's start a fan club. She noticed that she didn't have one, which, okay. During that time, it was something that was very common, right? And it worked. The fan club, based out of San Antonio, grew to over 5,000 members. Yolanda, after, became very close to the family. She became trusted. She eventually took over managing Selena's clothing boutiques called Selena, etc. But something wasn't right. People quickly began to notice her obsessive behavior. She kept a shrine in her home of Selena. She kept the shrine in her home of Selena. That part always gets to me. Like, nobody was like, hey, this is a little weird. This is just, like, this is too much, right? Like, who keeps a shrine of someone in their home, like their boss? Because in now, Selena's her boss, technically, right? Like, anyway, super weird. The staff at the boutique described her as controlling, paranoid, oddly obsessive. Some believe Yolanda was in love with Selena. Whether romantic or not, the obsession was real and everyone could see it, and it was dangerous. Psychologists later cited Yolanda's behavior as an example of celebrity worship syndrome, or CWS. That's a psychological condition where people become obsessed with a public figure to the point of fantasy. So Yolanda wasn't just a fan. She believed in her head that her and Selena had a deep mutual bond. It was a complete fantasy because Selena was like, yeah, you're cool, but like, I don't like you like that. By early 1995, though, complaints started rolling in. They were piling in quick every single day. Fan club members weren't receiving merchandise they paid for. Boutique employees noticed that there were financial discrepancies and inconsistencies with the business. Checks were missing. Receipts were just not adding up. On March 2nd, 1995, Selena and her father Abraham and her sister Suzette confronted Yolanda at the family studio. Tension was thick. Abraham accused Yolanda of stealing thousands of dollars, and he was furious. He felt betrayed. He let her have it. And Selena's dad was known as being kind of like, I don't want to say asshole, but because that's horrible. But like he was very strict. And when he got mad, he got mad. So you know Yolanda was like, he was going in on her, okay? And that day, they officially cut her off. Yolanda was fired, gone, right? And in her mind, though, she wasn't gone. She claimed she still had like important documents, financial records. Selena needed to see them, almost like in a way that if she brought these papers before Selena, she could be somehow redeemed, that she can fix the problem, right? Because she was still not fully admitting to what she did, but she's like, look, I got some paperwork, like we can fix this, right? Let me show you. Yolanda basically promised to return all that to them. But behind the scenes, she had already purchased a .32 caliber revolver. She told the gun store clerk that she needed it for protection. She basically said that some fan was obsessed with her, and she was scared. And that fear was driving her, but we all know that it was actually possession of Selena. March 31st, 1995. That morning, Selena drove to the Days Inn Motel in Corpus Christi, room 158. She thought it was going to be a simple business meeting. She was going to meet Yolanda, pick up the documents, and get back to work. But Yolanda had other plans. Inside the room, things got weird. Yolanda stalled, okay, guys? She claimed that she had been assaulted in Mexico and even showed Selena injuries. I couldn't find any pictures of said injuries because we know that later on, we found out that this was not true, but Selena was always caring, offered to take her to the hospital. They went, but at the ER, again, we know that the doctors found no evidence of assault. Nothing added up. And then Selena realized this was just another lie. Like, she is a perpetual liar. Selena was probably like, wow, I've had this person in my life and I've trusted her with basically everything. And she is like, not the person that I thought she was. And back at the motel, Selena was done. They went back, and then she told Yolanda that she was leaving, demanded the papers, like, where's my shit, okay? We gotta go. And this is when Selena turned around to walk out the door, and Yolanda pulled the trigger. The bullet stuck in Selena's back, and it instantly severed an artery, but she didn't fall right away. She had time to run out of the room. She was bleeding, clearly terrified, screaming, and she made it about like 388 feet to the motel lobby. And with her last breath, she actually named her killer. She said Yolanda, and then she said room 158. Then she collapsed on the floor. Selena was rushed to Corpus Christi Memorial Hospital, but it was too late. At 1:05 p.m., Selena Quintanilla Perez was pronounced dead, and she was only 23 years old. But the story didn't end at the motel. After the shooting of Selena, Yolanda Saldivar didn't flee. She went back to her truck, which is like super weird. She just parked outside the Days Inn. She pulled out the same revolver that she used to kill Selena, who was her so-called best friend, right? Then she just sat there in the cab of her red pickup, gun in hand, engine off, and she just put the gun to her head like she was gonna kill herself, right? And police arrived within minutes, and because Selena had named her, they knew exactly who to look for. They knew it was Yolanda. And that moment began one of the most intense standoffs Corpus Christi had ever seen. Negotiators were called in, streets were shut down, the SWAT was on alert, all eyes were on that red truck. And let me tell you, I was really little when this happened, but I remember it being on the news and it was live. Like, you can see Yolanda in the car with like the gun to her head, and she was like crying and screaming. Yolanda sat there for over 9 hours and rambling, right? Claiming that it was all an accident. She didn't mean to shoot Selena, that she loved her, that was her friend. And she told negotiators she was going to kill herself, that she couldn't live with the idea of what she had just done. Okay. But she never pulled the trigger. Police kept talking her down hour after hour. They actually brought in friends, coworkers, anyone that they felt Yolanda trusted to give her time to surrender, to convince her. And finally, at around 9:30 p.m., 9 hours, y'all, Yolanda cracked. She opened the truck door and gave up the gun. And just like that, it was over. The woman who claimed to love Selena Quintanilla was now in custody for her murder. Yolanda was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The trial began in October of 1995, and despite her claims that the shooting was accidental, the evidence in Selena's final words told a complete different story. It was damning. The court was packed. Fans gathered outside with candles, signs, tears in their eyes. Inside, the jury listened as prosecutors laid out the facts, the embezzlement, the motive, the obsession, the purchase of gun. Because listen, the purchase of a gun. Because why would you buy a gun and then bring it with you? Like, she was just gonna meet Selena, right? She was just gonna hand over papers. Why do you have a gun with you? No one's following you. No one's following you, okay? She was one of those people that just kind of hung out in the shadows of who Selena was. So nobody really knew who she was. So it was clear that she brought that gun to take out Selena. And it was calculated, it was planned. On October 23rd, 1995, only after 2.5 hours of deliberation, the jury found Yolanda Saldivar guilty of murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. And that meant 2025 was the earliest she could be eligible. And guess what? That day came. In early 2025, this year, news broke that Yolanda Saldivar was up for parole. And the Latino community, especially Selena's family, her fans, her friends, responded with outrage and heartbreak. Like, how are we letting this woman out? It was weird, because weird feeling, like almost like there's no way she would live to see her release. But she was still alive, okay? And protests reignited. It felt like a wound was reopened. Some fans even vowed to wait outside her prison gates the day she got out. And I mean, I was considering it, because we haven't forgotten and we never will. One fan said in a viral TikTok video holding a poster that read, "Justice for Selena, now and forever." Selena's father, Abraham Quintanilla, publicly stated, "This woman took the life of someone who brought joy to millions. We will fight every single attempt to let her out. Selena always deserves justice, not headlines about her killer walking free." The Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles reviews Yolanda's request and unanimously denied it. In a rare public statement, they wrote, "The nature of the crime, the lasting impact on the victim's family and community, and the lack of genuine remorse led to the decision to deny parole. The panel believes early release would diminish the severity of the offense." Hell yeah. And with that, she's still inside, okay? And for many, especially those who grew up loving Selena, like me, that decision brought a sense of closure. Selena's killer would not walk free. Not yet. Selena's death left the world mourning. Tens of thousands of fans attended her public memorial. Radio stations played her songs nonstop. Listen, they still do. There were flowers, tears, but Selena's light didn't go out. Her album, Dreaming of You, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, the first time a Latin artist has done so. Her story became a movie starring Jennifer Lopez, who would credit her role for launching her own career. I mean, I don't think J-Lo would be J-Lo without Selena, I'm just saying. Selena became a symbol of resilience, pride, passion. To this day, she inspires generations of Latinas to chase their dreams, love their culture, and never dim their light. Because though her life was tragically cut short, her legacy is still unstoppable. Thank you for walking with me through Selena's story. If you're feeling this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a review and don't forget to subscribe. New episodes drop every week, and until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and stay informed.